Welcome to Middles Open. This week I want to make sure that I introduce my guests other than when we had Roy Hall on here, who I still could have taken that guy. I think we all know that after we saw it on Facebook.
Got a man crush on him.
I do. We've been talking several times during the week, but I realized I might have introduced him and not my co-host in here. So, Doug Risher, take it away. Give people a little background on why you're here anyway.
I'm here because I work here at the station.
That is true.
So I work here at QFM. Back in the day, I used to do MMA fights, so I have a lot of history and passion for MMA. So Mike asked me to be on the show with him to discuss that as well. And so that's what we're going to do.
Overall, it's basically because for the last 2 or 3 years, we're like good buddies that see each other in the hall and always talk about MMA.
Yeah, and we always goof around, and it works well. So we just figured, why not do a show together? And
why not record it?
Why not record it and see if people will listen? It makes me laugh in the hallway. So
yeah. So here's the thing, Doug. We have a special guest. Normally we have Dave Beaver here, the Pastor Blaster.
Yeah.
But
I love that name. The Pastor Blaster.
I think that's gonna catch on. I want to have some Pastor Blaster shirts.
If you're not quiet in church, he'll blast you.
For his comeback.
I kind of want him to be like in a Pope outfit with throwing the right cross. You know.
We can get a T-shirt made like that.
I know. If there's a T-shirt coming out there, the Pastor Blaster, we want one of those.
We're gonna trademark that name, so we'll take it.
So you can hear laughter that doesn't sound like Dave, and there it is again. We have a special guest with us, Jayde Sheeley, who is the Iron Tiger Fight Series 125 Flyweight champion. So she is a girl, but she does have a belt. Jayde, thank you for coming in today.
Thank you for being here. She can kick all of our asses too, so we're gonna be nice to her, Mike.
I noticed that you sat. I had practice this morning, so like all that.
Oh, I did sit far away.
Out.
But I left me closer to you, so if you want to punch somebody, it's gonna be me.
I haven't ate yet, so if I get antsy,
she's getting hangry on us.
That's when you want to go at it. But I told Rachel for the last year plus that I do want to fight Jayde, but not when she's looking.
Every time,
Not when she's looking. I just want that belt.
I've always wanted to have one of those belts too. It would be so
amazing
cool.
would that be?
You can get those made.
It's not that.
We should
get
them.
But I want to earn it, and I want someone to say,
"How
did you win that? At 275, I beat someone at 125."
I sat on them.
I drop kicked her. I came up behind her.
I'm trying to get her to meet me at a catch weight. So if she'll put 150 pounds, I think we got a show going.
There we go. I'd pay to see that.
If I eat enough donuts, I can.
I mean, everybody likes donuts.
I think it's happening. I think it's going to happen. We're on Facebook
Rachel
Live.
This
Answer
for
the challenge. What I want to do is introduce this week. We're going to talk about UFC 229, and when I originally came up with this topic, it was because Doug is such a big fan as well. But I wanted to have somebody that actually also fights,
right,
you know, to have that background. But let's cut the break right now because we've got 5 fights on the main card that I want to cover. But we're going to take a break right now. You're listening to Middles Open, and we'll be right back. You're listening to Middles Open. We're back from break. I'm still here with Doug Risher. He hasn't left. And Jayde Sheeley, who before the show started, thought she was a flyweight. She has become a featherweight in the 5 minutes it took for us to turn this camera on.
She's cutting weight.
Now,
I added weight.
Oh, that's right. You
Feathers
added weight.
I think Feather's 45, yeah.
It must be all the water she's drinking. Now, I have a question, Jayde, before we get into the UFC fight card. Is it true that your nickname is Jayde Street Meat Sheeley?
What? I like that even better than the Pastor Blaster.
The Pastor Blaster is pretty good.
I know. That might actually top that.
I heard that was your name, and that if I would go to a fight, which I'm not going to go watch you fight, first of all, unless it's me. But if you are going to the ring and people are yelling street meat, will you answer to that?
That is a good question.
I wasn't ready for that.
Perfect. So it's a perfect way to introduce the card.
My friends from college actually gave me that on my birthday a couple weeks ago. I really like gyros, so I don't have a nickname yet.
Yeah, you do. Just now.
So I guess
it's catching on now.
That one could stick.
Also,
it's got a lot of mystery.
Another T-shirt we should have for the show: Jayde Street Meat Sheeley. I just think it would be great. This big gyro in your little tiny baby hands, and maybe some gloves on to look tough.
Tiny.
Yeah,
we get some Greek restaurant to be your sponsor.
Yeah.
€3 for a year.
So we've covered that. Now everybody knows your nickname, but let's really get into the card. And I kind of want to start with you, Jayde, because the first fight on the card is Michelle Waterson, and I am going to get this girl's name wrong. Felice Herrig.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is my. I was telling Rachel earlier this week. It drives me nuts that Michelle Watterson is the karate hottie. Like, it drives me nuts because I think that devalues the, like, if you're there for looks, I know that she can fight.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, that was how she was marketed, is she was going to be this fighter, but she was beauty and she was a beast. I'm not sold on her as a fighter. I think it's more of a marketing push, kind of like the CM Punk thing. He could not fight. But
I was actually there for that fight in
what
Cleveland.
a mess that had to be.
It was a mess. I
I
felt
can't
bad for him,
imagine.
but it was definitely a publicity thing. But
But
I hear he's going to do it again. Now.
Oh.
Well, he
listen.
just had one not too long ago. That was his first one in
Right,
Cleveland, right?
it was in Cleveland.
He had a second one. It was even worse. I can't.
So I didn't know he did it again.
He didn't go against Mike or whatever, it's Mick, something like that. But he got
Mickey
smashed.
Gale,
No, he went against another guy, and
he
that
went
poor
against
guy.
Jackson.
Yeah,
And Jackson got cut from the UFC because
he played around with them the whole time.
Yeah, he was like tapping him on his ass.
And he
all
should
that
have
stuff.
just
Oh, really?
demolished him, but he was making a joke out of it.
He wouldn't put him away. So even when he had him in trouble, but when I'm looking at the first fight on the card, I kind of feel like it's, you know, if you're watching WWE, and who doesn't, you have that kind of what they call a popcorn match. It's just to get the crowd warmed up.
Right?
And that's okay to a point, but these two on the card, I mean, they're ranked in the top 10. And this should be taken more seriously, and I feel like it's in a
Are
slot
we
where
talking
it's-
about like Michelle and Felice?
Yes.
Yes.
No, I agree. I mean, Michelle trains out of Jackson Wink down in, is that New Mexico? I mean, that's a amazing gym. Like, so many good fighters come out of there. So the fact that they're that low, like an opener, they should be on the main card. Michelle I haven't really kept up with over the years. Felice I have, just because I've had some like training partners that have trained with her too, and she's like one of the OGs too. She's been at this for a long time.
In case you don't know what that means, that's original gangster. Thank you,
The
Jade, for
original
bringing back a
gangsters.
90s term.
Yes, but like I think they are underappreciated just because I mean women are taking over the sport too, so it's not even that. It's just I'm not sure why these fighters have been around so long and they put their time in, and she's, what is it? I don't know what her ranking is, like top 10 or like she's
They're
11.
both, I think it's 7 versus 9.
Yeah, they're right there. So I don't know why I don't know if it's they're not getting as much, media or attraction. They're not bringing people to like buy the card or whatever, but
Well, this is going to be a pretty big selling card. I mean, obviously the main
Oh,
event's
yeah,
huge, but
could be
I watched a
Connor.
lot of footage over the week about Michelle and Felice, and I have a Taekwondo background, so I found it interesting that she has a karate background. It's interesting to see people with a straight up martial arts background doing MMA because it's such a different style of fighting. But when you watch her fight, she cuts to such crazy angles. It's going to be interesting. I think she kind of has a slight advantage, to be honest.
when you have those like unorthodox styles too, like even comparing it to Connor, it just throws it's a mental thing.
Yeah.
It throws people off. I don't know. I feel like Felice might have this one. She's underestimated. Like, she started out as a boxer or a kickboxer. I'm pretty sure, like, when she first started, she'd done no MMA and just went in there and had her first fight just as a kickboxer.
Right.
So, I mean, now she's, I think, a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. So, I do think she is being underestimated here, but I see Felice, like...
Well, Felice definitely is coming in as the stronger. She's the more muscular person.
Oh, yeah.
She's taller. She's got a
always just-
3-inch reach advantage. But I think Watterson, she's got a more variety of attacks and faster.
But do you
with
think
that
this is
karate
where you
background.
get that styles make fights where, when you've got somebody that's unorthodox fighting somebody that's more, that doesn't have a strong ground game or something,
Right.
that's where I think the difference is. If you've got somebody who's used to taking the angle approach versus just straight up, I'm just trying to line you up for a kick or a punch or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I feel that's where Felice's weakness is. She tends to literally go to the same combo all the time. And she plants her feet, and obviously to get the power, but it's going to be very predictable. And Michelle throws all these crazy different things out with these kicks, and she's moving at different angles constantly. So it might be a challenge for Felice to actually match up with her. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I think it's going to be an interesting fight.
Well, my last thought on this fight specifically is, do you think this is kind of like when Ronda Rousey ran into Holly Holm?
No.
No, I don't
No.
think so. Ronda was literally, that she was going to try to armbar you, and that was all that she was going to do. And Holly just was definitely outboxed her, that's for sure. it definitely changed the way Ronda fought, and that's why she's not fighting now, because everybody learned her game plan. Granted, that game plan worked for a very long time.
Until people
Very
caught
long
up.
time.
But do you think that is because of who she fought? Do you feel like, when I look back on boxing, let's say, the highlight of boxing in the 90s was get Mike Tyson in there, let him knock somebody out,
Right.
and you're there to see a show. Or kind of like a Brock Lesnar, when he was fighting early on, there's no kind of like cupcake guys, right?
Right.
So there's no warm-up, tune-up. It's at any given time somebody could take you down. But it seems to me like with Ronda, it was a matching you up with somebody who also is a stand-up person. You're going to get to go for your armbar because they're going to make a mistake. And then
Right.
she ran into people that could actually had a ground game, actually could not just submit you, but they could use, leg kicks and that kind of thing.
Right. Well, I mean, if she can get you in that hip toss, she'll be able to toss you, man. Like, she's got that judo
I mean, if
background.
she's
She was in
here,
the Olympics.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I mean, I met her, and she actually, obviously, she offered to hip toss us, but I actually didn't want to do that because
Wait,
would've
I
been
don't want to
horribly
lose this.
embarrassing.
You told me this story, but people need to hear when you actually had Ronda in
And Misha,
studio.
yeah. So before, a long time ago, I used to do another MMA show on this station 7 or so years ago. And we had Misha Tate and Ronda Rousey in the studio.
At the same time.
Yeah, they were
Oh,
promoting
okay.
their
They were
Strike
promoting
Force
a
fight.
fight.
And it was
their
here.
very first
that was
fight. Right.
in Columbus. I
Exactly.
remember
So
that.
they were here doing their promotional
Wow.
run with Scott Coker, who was Dana White of Strikeforce at the time. And so they came in, and no one knew who Ronda was really at that point. Misha, people knew her, but this was before they got huge. And they were really nice, but when they got into the interview in the studio, things got heated fast. And I remember Scott Coker looking at us like, I don't know if they're going to start fighting now. And they were just yelling at each other. And literally, me and the other guy, Archie, we just didn't know what to expect. But after that fight, obviously Ronda armbarred her, and the rest was history. Well, now she's in WWE, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, she had this one game plan that no one could defend because she just hip tossed you, got you down, and then you were toast.
She was just ahead of the game, though. Her judo was at a level. It's like wrestlers now. Like,
Yeah.
if you get an Olympic wrestler in there, you just can't stop them. And that's how her judo was. Like, you knew what was coming, but you can't
Well, that's where
do anything.
Habib is going to be at an advantage against Conor. His ground game is so brutal. If he can get Conor down, he's going to be in trouble. But Conor's got that powerful left, so I know we're kind of moving on too fast.
Yeah, we're going to get to that, but
Right, but back to Michelle and Felice, I think that's going to be an interesting fight. I think it definitely could be really interesting. I just think if, Michelle Waterson's going to realize that Felice is going to plant her feet and she's going to know what's coming, so that she does this right cross, left hook pretty much all the time. So,
I'm curious to see if anyone does do any takedowns. I know, like I said, Felice has really been highlighted for her ground game lately, but I don't know much about if any of them
well, I will
have
say
strong
they both
wrestling.
have the same amount of submission wins.
Yeah.
Michelle's got 9 via sub, and Felice has 4. So, I mean, you never know. It could end up on the ground with some kind of sub, going for the win. But it could go anywhere. I'm not really sure. So,
I'm curious because both of you have trained and fought. Does every camp that you have teach submission maneuvers, teach wrestling? I know there's a lot of technique that goes into it, but are you training specifically for one person, one style, or are you training a little bit of everything in case, you get caught off guard?
When you have a camp, it's for your opponent. Like my last one was a southpaw, so she, her right leg's forward and orthodox is left leg. So it's so different. If I'm at that beginning stage where I'm trying to be really good at one thing, not learn everything at once. You want to master a couple things. So when you have someone change up their stance and how they're striking, it's different. So you really have to base it off your opponent. But overall, when I'm not in fight camp, I'm just trying to get everything.
Practicing
Wrestling,
everything.
jiu-jitsu,
Yeah.
boxing.
you got to keep those
kickboxing.
skills sharpened. Like, for me, when I was doing it, I was total rookie. So I had to learn a lot of stuff. So, I wrestled in high school and stuff, but I didn't have any grappling, stand-up grappling for the most part. I didn't have any real boxing. My background was Taekwondo, so it was totally different. And, submissions, I didn't know anything about it. So we practiced a lot on that. And the guy that I fought with didn't really have a background either, so there was nothing for us to
You don't even really
study.
have to.
You're right.
Yeah.
So we just kind of jammed everything into that 3 months. And so I think, like you said, you are practicing for a specific opponent, especially when you get to a certain level and
Yeah.
there is footage of them fighting. and stuff like that's only advantageous to do that.
I think it's scary when you don't know.
Like before you got here today, I was studying tape on you.
Oh, believe me.
Just
in
to see.
case.
Just you
I'm
never
don't
know.
on my
know.
right leg holding a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
You know that I'm ready to strike like a
Right,
cobra.
right, exactly.
I don't know what you're laughing about because if you would have brought that belt today, it would be on, and I would
I
be
don't even
walking
know
out
where
of here
that belt is.
I love the fact that you keep
You don't
the
know
hard
where it
way.
is.
I don't.
I'd be
It's-
wearing that around every day.
No, it wasn't that kind of wind. It's not, and I'm an amateur still, so like
There's
I
nothing
don't want
wrong
to
with
be
that.
cheesy with it. It's down in the basement collecting dust.
It's above her bed.
Oh, you
Right.
know it
She's like,
It has
you
like
see
track
this?
lighting
Just
above
remember
it,
that.
and it
I
changes
pray
to
below
the-
it every night.
Yeah. Look what I did. Considering you didn't know the name of the fight series or what weight you were.
It's my fight, my family's fight series too. I was, I haven't ate yet.
You want to talk about that? So you want to promote your
I
family
mean,
fight
yeah.
series?
I thought that's what I was. I didn't know what I was coming on to do.
We didn't
today.
either.
I
We're just
didn't-
winging
I
it.
didn't
You're
know.
doing a bang up job filling in for Dave. Let me just say that.
I didn't know who I was here for. No, actually, yeah, we have a card October 27th. I believe it's Express Live. I don't think it's the last two have been at the Hollywood Casino.
Okay.
I'd have to double check, but I think it's Express Live, and a lot of local guys are fighting. I know Travis Davis is fighting for sure, and he's out of Ronin, and I think a couple
Yeah.
other guys got their contracts. I'm not sure, but it's going to be a good card. Like,
Ronin's another great gym.
yeah, that's where I cross
Luke-
train at. I do my jiu-jitsu there with Vitor, and then have my main
Vitor,
gym.
yeah, he's a beast.
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
These are all
he's a-
guys I met years ago too.
Oh, yeah, he's a very good, and he's like one of the few jiu-jitsu guys that if I come in there, he understands that, yeah, I'm going to be respectful and learn, but like I need to be able to translate this into MMA. Like I can't be laying on my back just hanging out
Right, we
playing
don't wear
butterfly
gis.
guard.
We don't wear
Yeah,
gis
I'm
in
like
a fight.
so he gets it. He's really good at working with me with that. So that gym is definitely up and coming. And like I know Mike Mason's been on here. I don't know if he's fighting on that card. I haven't heard yet.
October
But
26th, you said?
yeah.
Express Live is a good place for fights
I mean,
too.
yeah,
so.
anyone, the Columbus, it brings out the crowd, so usually all the local guys get on that one.
Yeah.
So, it'll be good. It'll be a good card.
Cool.
Good.
Thanks for the cheap plug.
Yeah.
Wait, are you on that card? Is the question?
No. We
Perfect.
actually.
Slacking.
She's on a radio
Perfect.
show to promote a fight
Yeah.
she's not doing.
Perfect. No, there was like a lot of complications right now. I'm only 4-1 as an amateur, so I'm really trying to be smart about my next fights. I walk at like 129, so I really have to be careful about who I fight because at 125, some girls like are walking at 130.
140 or-
Yeah. And I'm not ready to cut weight because I don't need to. I'm not at the level where I need to be like killing myself. I'm still working. I have a job. I don't need to be doing that.
Well, you're still honing your skills.
Exactly.
Too, right?
I don't need to be killing myself
You don't
to
want
make
to
weight.
put
I just
yourself in
need
a
to-
bad situation.
Exactly.
So no, that makes sense.
So it's been hard. We had a girl from Michigan that was a possibility, but she was a 115er. And I actually really wanted to. I was like dying to do it, just because I'm so hungry to fight. It's been a while, like over 6 months, I think. But when I think about it, it's not the time to cut to 115 yet. Like,
That's always fun, cutting weight.
yeah, I haven't done it in a while. So
Rachel over there knows all about
yeah,
it.
hers is a whole new ball game.
I spent
Like
an entire year hearing about cutting weight.
yeah, I have to go like 2 weeks without hamburgers. Hers is like months.
Well,
so.
that's where street meat comes from.
Yeah. The Euro Queen.
No heroes for
God, I
me.
can't wait till somebody says that to her on the street. What's up, street meat?
Street. I think there might be a video
That is
of that.
awesome.
Street meat.
God, let's hope
Sheeley.
not. Listen, I'm going to reel you back in because we have to finish the show at some
Yeah,
point. So
yeah.
I want to skip right to the main event.
Okay.
The main event is Khabib versus Conor. So, Doug, you saw the press conference or a little bit of it yesterday, and it's the Conor show every single time.
Well,
You're even-
I will say it hasn't been so far. He's been relatively quiet. He just won like $100 million fighting Mayweather, and he's like not playing the game. Until that press conference, that was the first time I really saw him trying to push alcohol on him and everything. Like he was acting like his normal self. But I haven't seen a lot of press about this.
I haven't either
UFC
until
fight.
yesterday.
Right.
But I also saw that he signed an 8-fight deal on
right.
top of that.
Connor did.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yesterday. So I think it was announced before the press conference, but they didn't really touch on it. But, it's always that face-to-face, and he's mouthing off. And
You don't know what he's saying. At least
Right.
I didn't see.
With a whisper in the ear. And
No, he looked like he was talking trash. But
oh, yeah.
and Khabib was just standing there. But they have two different personalities, that's for sure. But it's going to be an interesting fight. They have two different fight styles. I was watching a lot of tape of Khabib, fighting Michael Johnson. Dude just gruels you to death on the ground. If he can get you down, which he can probably do to anybody, he just holds you down
Break
there
your will,
and
like,
just
you can't get
pounds
back up.
you to death.
Yeah.
And you see the guys he's fighting looking up at the clock like, what is going on?
Right.
Like, he's relentless. But Conor, you can't count him out, man. He's one of those guys that has these crazy angles. He's got great hands. He's got one of probably the best lefts in UFC for his weight. And so if he can, Khabib's always coming at you. If he can time it right, he might be able to clip him just right. So it's going to be a real interesting thing. And then you get Conor's whole mind game playing on you when he starts talking trash in the
He's
the
already
ring.
want to know he beat the bus. He was able to beat the bus. The bus didn't retaliate, submitted.
True.
And now he's going into this. But there's so many things
That poor bus. What did the bus do to him?
Listen, we don't know what the bus had to do with anything other than it probably gave him a little side eye action like Jay's giving right now, and I'm gonna throttle that. But when I'm looking at this and I'm saying he took that time off to have a training camp to box Mayweather.
Right.
Here's my question: is do you lose something by you are sports specific in boxing? Conor's not a boxer, but he took that training camp and that time away to do that.
Well, here's the way I see it. The dude is worth a ton of money. He's getting the best training camps there is. He kept on training no matter what. Yeah, he might have been focused more on the boxing game plan, but I guarantee he kept up. He's a pretty smart dude when it comes to the fighting. Will he have cage rust? I don't think so. I think he's going to come in there being prepared. He had a full camp, and he doesn't want to embarrass himself. It just Khabib's 26-0, has never lost a
that guy
fight,
is legit.
and has he fought someone of Conor's caliber? Not really. I mean, that's the only thing that I can say is the difference. Conor's fought everybody, and Khabib has only fought, a handful of guys that are pretty recognizable. But 26-0 says a lot right there.
But do you think that he gets so his path to that title? Do you think it was kind of we need someone, we need it always seems when you find that guy that's undefeated, you look and you start picking apart his opponents and saying, well, Conor fought,
Right.
Aldo and these other people to get there, and he only has 3 or 4 losses, and this guy's undefeated. I think when you have some like reclamation story, you have to have somebody that's undefeated, that's pristine, because if Conor beats him, there's a story there. If he
Definitely.
loses to him, it takes no shine off of Conor. The guy was undefeated and he's the champ.
Right. Well, in Conor, he's a guy that I'm still trying to figure out how good is Conor. And I thought Eddie Alvarez was going to roll him over and just beat him. Didn't happen. Conor beat him. Jose Aldo, a super amazing fighter that I've seen dominate forever. Conor beat him, and these guys are like the top tier. That's a crazy weight class too, right there. It's literally one of the biggest and most active weight classes. So for Conor to dominate as much as he has, I'm curious to see about this. I mean, it could go 2 different directions. It's going to be either one way, totally one-sided with Khabib destroying him on the ground.
Yeah, I don't see this as a back like a Nick Diaz, like
No.
those two bloody
It's
back.
either-
It's gonna
He's going to be on the ground
Yeah.
pinned, getting punched in the face from side control, or Conor's going to clip him and knock him out.
clip him on a takedown or something.
But do you think Conor has to knock him out to win?
Oh yeah, because
I
Khabib
think
will
so.
get back up.
Yeah.
He's got a chin, but he'll keep coming at you, and he'll run for. It's a championship fight, so it's going to be 5 rounds. He'll last the whole.
Yeah,
Their
25
cardio
minutes,
is
550.
pretty good. So Conor looks pretty huge. I saw him like a week ago. He looks pretty huge. Obviously, he's got his weight cut, but I don't know. We'll see. I think it's going to be a hell of a fight. I'm kind of rooting for Khabib, to be honest, but
Because Conor's got a big mouth, or just because?
well, that sells pay-per-views and
Yeah,
seats.
people
But
forget it's an entertainment. Like I get a lot of people that say, "Oh, I hate like the trash talk. It's ruining the sport." They're a business. Like you pay to be entertained. Like you pay to see like trash talk. You pay to see like a bloody battle. No one wants back and forth like pit. Like people pay for excitement. So
well,
you
also
can't blame them.
it's hard to fight someone that
Yeah,
you're
you
not
like
mad
it,
at.
Yeah.
It's hard to like fight your friend. You
Yeah.
know, like if you're buddies, if there's not that trash talk or it's like, well, I have no reason to
Hurt
want to punch
you,
this
yeah.
guy or woman in the face. You know,
Well,
so
I think that the UFC really started to turn that corner when you had Tito and
And
Chuck
Chuck,
Liddell.
yeah.
Mhm.
Like they were best. It just seemed like, who cares who's on the card? It's cool to watch. And then all of a sudden, it's like you have this bloodbath, and we gotta watch it over and over because they legit hate each other.
yeah, it's happening again too.
But I think.
Yeah, the what is that? The
Tito,
third one?
it'll be the third
It's on
time.
a
yeah.
boxing card or something.
Yeah.
I'm watching. I don't care how shitty
I
they are.
love Chuck
They're
Liddell.
gonna fight when they're 48 years old, 50 years old, and we're still gonna watch it.
Yeah. Chuck's one of my favorites.
Who is
I love
sanctioning
Tito.
that, by the way?
I love him.
What?
Who is
It's a
sanctioning?
boxing commission. I'm pretty sure.
Where in Poland? Who is
You know,
that?
Yeah.
it's around here. I don't
Slovakia.
know. They actually, it's been a while since they released it, but I saw an article and just glanced at it, and the guy's like, yeah, we gotta find, like, some other guys to fight on the card, because he's a boxing guy. Like, he doesn't have that lined up, but I'll pay to watch it. I don't care.
I'll always watch that.
Yeah.
Just like I'd love
Take
to
my
see
money.
Nate Diaz fight Conor again as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
I'd love to see that trilogy. But he's obviously
If you could
Conor's
stay
gotta
off the
get past
chronic,
Khabib.
that would be one thing. Or John. I'd like to see
John
Jones fight again.
Jeez, John Jones. That's
Isn't
another.
his-
That's a subject
That's
for another
October.
day.
That's coming up.
Yeah,
isn't
Oh
it?
he's
yeah,
gonna be
yeah,
back
they
in
gave him
October.
time
28.
served. Yeah.
He's coming up.
Meanwhile,
next
when he takes
month.
that drug test, it comes up like the Hulk's. You know, it's just like
Radioactive?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like on fire. Like
It's
I don't think
it's
this is good. I don't
flames.
think you passed.
Dana White says he's a little heavy right now, so early next year he'll be back. That's
Oh,
if
I'm
he can stay
excited.
out of trouble.
You'll still
Yeah.
pay for it.
One of the most fun fighters to watch,
yeah.
even though he can't keep himself out of trouble. But we'll see.
Well, here's what I want to know, and because we got to wrap up, I was thinking about they made that announcement that Brock and Cormier eventually were going to meet. Whatever. How many drug tests do you think that all these guys, Jones, Lesnar, Hunt, all these guys are going through just to get on the fight card at some point? That's the disappointing thing is after the fight, and then you go, oh, but he failed the drug test,
Right.
so it doesn't matter anymore.
That drives me crazy. I say they just have a roided
Yes.
version and the clean version, and you pick what side you want to be on.
Gladiator style.
Yeah, and just let them go. I mean, does it really affect you if they're
Yeah.
Well, no, if you're fighting them, it does. But I'm saying that's why you have
it's
a
good.
juiced league
Typical
and then
street meat
a
coming
clean
through.
league.
Disappointing
Street meat
everybody in
over
the
here.
I
audience.
know, yeah, no, I don't even know how Brock made it the first time or how many.
Oh, you don't know
times.
how he made it? Let's throw out this sample.
Oh,
All right, real
okay.
quick before we have to end this. Who do you got, Khabib or Conor?
I love them both, but I think Khabib's he's gonna break his will. He's gonna just Conor's gonna come in crazy with the hands, trying to get the knockout, and Khabib's gonna take him down, and he's gonna break his will. He's gonna hold him there and just dominate. I think.
I agree.
That's how I see it.
Ferguson or Pettis?
Pettis, I love him. Pettis.
I'm going with Ferguson on that one. I love Pettis.
I
He
am
had one of
too.
the coolest
Yeah.
highlight reels ever.
If he
back
does one
when-
of those like kicks off the key,
Yeah,
you know,
back from WEC
yeah.
when he knocked out Ben Henderson. That was one of the coolest things ever. But
You can live forever on that highlight alone.
Yeah.
People will forget that you're going to lose. He's going to lose.
I mean, and that was like 8 years ago, you know, so maybe not that long ago. And who do you got for Michelle Karate Hottie Watterson or Felice Harry? You can go with
I
Felice.
see Felice. Yeah,
Okay.
I see Felice taking this one. I think that one's gonna be a close one, but I'm with
Should be
Felice.
interesting. It's a pretty good card. So that's October 6th.
Yeah, and this
Which
is
is
a
next-
cheap plug. It has nothing to do with us, but UFC, you can watch them all. You can watch all the pay-per-views now, and you can watch the old ones. That's where we're doing our show research, is on UFC.tv.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, I think that's it, right?
Yep, that's it for this week, but we will be back next week. Thanks for listening to Middles Open.